We are getting a complaint or two about the garage, right? Maybe the garage is the problem. And we say, what's wrong with the garage? All right, let's share a funny story. We manage a couple hundred properties. We don't really manage. At Bedrock, we solve a problem that most people don't know exists, which is we provide business management for a couple hundred properties for investors. And what that means is, even if you have a good property manager, I would say charitably, they will do half of the work. Some of the work is going to fall on you as ownership. If you own a piece of rental property, you're going to have to do work that you never thought you were going to have to do. You're going to have to pay your mortgage. No property manager does that. You're going to have to deal with your HOA, your homeowner's insurance. You're going to have to deal with claims, anything that gets outside of like the regular day-to-day purview of your property manager. Collecting rent, making deposits, making simple repairs. Anything that gets outside of that spectrum is going to get hyper complicated, and most property managers don't do it specifically. We have, I think we oversee right now 13 property managers in 9 states. And each one of them is just on the spectrum of how good are they, how bad are they. Even ones that are really, really good can get really, really bad. Like our best property manager for the last 8 years just had surgery on his arm, and it went from like great communication to just terrible communication overnight, because it turns out it all kind of revolves around that guy. So here's a funny story we had come out of Alabama this last couple weeks, and I was like, I've got to get on and share this just because it was a hilarious story. We have this property in Alabama, and it goes vacant May 1st. And it just goes vacant and it gets turned over, just a typical property management turnover. Everything looks really good with this property. There's nothing outside of the norms. It's a pretty quick turnover, not too expensive. We flip it over and they say, hey, we've got great showings. Now we check in every week that a property is on the market with property managers, and we ask a couple of questions. How much activity was there on the property? How many inquiries were there on the property? How many walkthroughs were there on the property? And we track that. Now, at Bedrock, I said we do things that most people don't know exist. Even if you have a property manager, you have to make sure they're doing their job well. We have had property management that just didn't have interest, that didn't have walkthroughs, that didn't have showings. And as I said, we oversee, I think it's 13 property managers in 9 states. And so every week that a property is vacant and on the market, it hits our hot list of problem properties at Bedrock. We talk about those 3 things: interest, inquiries, showings. And we talk about that every single week. Now, this property came on the market and it had really good interest, really good inquiries, a lot of showings. Now, that means that we're priced correctly when it comes to the cost that we've got as our market rent. If we're way too high, we'll have interest, but we'll have no inquiries, and we'll certainly have no showings. The market will dictate if we're priced correctly or not. And so we realize, like, hey, there's good interest, there's good inquiries, there's good showings. This thing's going to be off the market any minute now. Now, it just kept not renting. Like, we'd have a meeting. Hey, we had 15 inquiries, 4 walkthroughs, 2 showings, 3 showings, 4 showings. It was having good interest. It was having traction. Now, at the same time, it's now October 2nd. At the same time, the market has slowed, I would say, since Liberation Day. I would say since the tariffs, the market has slowed. Everything has slowed. Every business I own has slowed since Liberation Day, because the tariffs added a whole bunch of, I would call it, toxic uncertainty into the market. But we've had the market slow. We've seen Florida prices actually decline. We've seen Charlotte prices actually decline in real estate. We've actually seen, like, I would say, if I'm honest, I think we're in a recession. Like, from my 7 companies, from my vantage point on the economy, I think we're in a recession. I just don't think we're admitting it yet. But anyways, I don't want to get too political. I just want to tell you guys a funny story about what's happening with this property. So we're having good interest. We're having good inquiries. We're having good showings, but it's not renting. And that keeps on going. Now, the first 30 days, whatever. The next 30 days, okay, what the crap. It gets into the next 30 days. We get like 60 to 90 days. And so we start really digging down with our property managers. Hey, this has not rented. And we got to know what's going on. What do you think is wrong with the property? Because it's in Alabama. I live in Greenville, South Carolina. My team is all over the globe, from Germany, Salt Lake, Kentucky. We're just all over the place. It's a decentralized company. We work remotely. All of us work remotely. And so the long and the short is, we're not sure what's wrong with the property. Right? I haven't walked the property. I buy all over the country. I buy wherever the numbers are good, wherever the economy is strong, wherever I can get the type of returns that my investors expect, which is effectively the best returns in the country, where we can find good properties. And so we just talk to the property manager and, okay, you've walked the property. What's wrong with it? What feedback are you getting? And they're like, well, we're just not getting a lot of feedback. It's not renting. It's like maybe just something feels off. So eventually we keep talking to the property manager. They're like, we are getting a complaint or two about the garage, right? Maybe the garage is the problem. And we say, what's wrong with the garage? Like, that's a strange problem. What's wrong with the garage? And it turns out that the last tenant, unbeknownst to us, converted the garage into a Derpy for its bedroom. They did a garage conversion that we didn't know about. And that the property manager also didn't know about. They came on, we handed the property off, but somewhere between an old property manager that wasn't doing a good job and this property manager, the tenant decided to convert the garage into a bedroom. And they left this derpy ass garage that's like only big enough for like a motorcycle. But worse than that, they created a tiny little bedroom. It did a really weird garage conversion into a bedroom, and now it's got this really strange little derpy bedroom and this kind of useless garage. And we're like, yeah, I can see how that's the problem. Now, maybe a tenant would be okay renting a derpy garage. Like, maybe that's fine. But the problem with this type of half-a tenant done, off the books, no permits conversion is that it looks all derpy. It looks super janky, right? And if that's what I walk into as a potential tenant, I'm going to be like, dude, if the landlord lets a property be this janky, what else is wrong? Like, what? It is just the tip of the iceberg on the number of problems that this property may have. The whole property feels questionable after that. And so we went ahead and greenlit them tearing out the garage renovation, bedroom renovation that the tenant had done on their own. We went ahead and slapped the tenant with the cost, but we'll never see that because you can never get money out of a stone. The property manager was unaware that this was done under the previous property manager. It's just one of those weird things, like one of those strange things that happens. But I thought it was hilarious. My COO told me about it, and he sent me these pictures, and I just kept laughing. I was like, I've never heard of it. Well, I have heard of it, but I've never had this happen. Like, hey, we're going to do a Derpy garage conversion on and make a tiny little bedroom out of it. Leave you with only enough garage to park like a motorcycle. And so anyways, we tore that garage out. We got it back on the market. It'll be rented by the end of the month. I just thought it was an awesome story that had to be shared. The case of the Derpy garage bedroom. Just another day in investing in real estate. Now, on the positive side, I think this client will earn 25 to 35% on their property. It beats the hell out of an annuity. It's an awesome asset class. We love single-family residential. If you've never looked into single-family residential, buying in markets that actually work, it's still a really profitable thing. We really love it. I just thought you all would enjoy the story of the Derpy garage bedroom conversion. I've never seen anything like it on one of our properties, but you live, you learn. This is a new day. It'll still be a great asset, but it took longer to rent than I would have liked. Hope you enjoy that. If you want to hear another awesome story about getting into real estate and things we do, I would look at the video we did on one of our rental properties got shot 67 times in a drive-by shooting / police, drug / gang / who the crap knows affiliation. If you want to see that video, I'll put it right here. You guys have a good day. Bye-bye.